Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 22nd, 2022 special meeting of the Boulder City Parks and Recreation Commission. I call this meeting to order. Ms. Bonk, has this meeting been posted in accordance with the Nevada revised statutes?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. And do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do, and we have Michael Pontus.
Thank you.
Yes, we do have we have posted everything, and we have a quorum, and Michael Pontus is on the phone via teleconference.
Thank you. Would everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll open up to public comment. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. Each person has up to 5 minutes to speak on a specific agenda item. Members of the public may participate in the meeting without being physically present by either having submitted comments on the public comment form on the Boulder City website, or you could call in for public comment at 702-589-9629. Again, that number is 702-589-9629. Anyone wishing to make public comment? Mr. Shane?
Judy DeShane. I read everything that was put out about the survey that Mr. Tedder had published with your agenda. And I read many of the comments. And those are my concern, I guess, is there, to my way of thinking, there were a lot of people that weren't happy with anything. Let's face it, we have X number of people that are they'd complain if they were hung with a new rope. There's just no getting around it. But whatever you guys decide to do, I would very much like to make sure that we get something solid and signage put up for dogs having to be leashed. I'd also like to see the 6-foot leash limit, because if you are visually impaired or have problems ambulating, walking, it is difficult when people have these leashes that the dogs can be way far ahead of them, because you don't necessarily see the trip hazard until you're right on top of it. Also, those owners do not have control of their dogs. When your dog is out 8 or 10 feet or more, there is no way you can get, if your dog does something that they shouldn't be doing, there's no way you can get the dog back under control physically. And so I would like to see that, and I think we need to have signage in the other parks, wherever you put this one, signage in the other parks that says dogs must be leashed. No more of this free run. And there were quite a number of people in their comments that said they were going to do whatever the hell they wanted to because they could. And so we need to also have that leash law put in so the police can enforce it, animal control can enforce it. Both Ann and Chief Shea came before the council a number of months ago and asked to have that because they couldn't enforce what was there. That's not right, and we shouldn't have to put our employees at risk. And even Ann saying they have to send 2 animal control people out when they have a dog loose or a dog being vicious or attacking people or chasing people. And even the people with small dogs who think it's perfectly all right to have their small dog run loose. It is not all right when those dogs, I don't know if they're friendly or not. They come charging at somebody. You don't know if they're going to jump at your legs. They just want to be petted. It doesn't matter if you are not super stable, young enough, healthy enough, whatever, to control that or to be able to stop them from doing it, you'll go down in a crash. And that's the same for people that don't see or don't see well. They can't do anything about it. We're putting regular citizens at risk. So whatever you decide tonight, and I do think the dog park down at Veterans Memorial would be the best place because the other parks are located in residential areas. And so you have some dogs out there running, having a great time and barking and whatever. It destroys their peace and quiet. And some of those parks, like Oasis, they back right up to all residentials. And so somebody has their dog in their yard, and the other dogs are running free, and you're going to have a barking contest between those that are out free and those that aren't. And it's not fair to the residents to have to put up with that. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other persons for public comment?
Chairman, can we ask Mike to please turn down his mic or put it on mute if he can?
Mike,
Yes.
can you mute your phone?
Oh, are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll do that.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Victor Judd. Ms. Duchesne said, I live right next to Oasis Park, and I would like to mirror 100% what she said. I also believe that Veterans Memorial Park would be an excellent spot for that because they have the facilities there already. The thing I don't really think is very suitable for at least Oasis Park as well is there's a small kids park there in that very same park, and a lot of those small kids are afraid of dogs. Also, there's very limited parking. Our house dead ends into one of the roads right there at the park, and there's a lot of times when there's activities going on at the park, it's not just necessarily people walking their dogs, but just on a busy day, we can't get out of the driveway. So we've got to go hunt for 3 or 4 people to move their vehicles. If we have more congestion there with people with their dogs, that's not going to help that. So those are my concerns, being a resident right there, and I hope that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name.
Laura Hess. I also live by Oasis Park, and I completely agree with what they just said. I had very few seconds to really write down my thoughts. And please understand, I'm not mad. I'm just really passionate about this. So if it comes rude, it's not my intention in any way, but I'm completely passionate about this. Do I have a certain time to?
5 minutes.
Okay. I just wanted to say, first of all, I love dogs. I'm a dog owner. But it's hard for me to believe that neighborhood parks like Oasis Park, Del Prado, etc., made the list for a proposed dog park. It's hard for me to believe as a mother and dog owner that my dog's well-being is more important to the city than my children's well-being. For me to say that my kids love soccer is an understatement. I have to take them all the way to Henderson soccer fields or the local high school so they can use the designated soccer fields and goals. The reason I am mentioning this is because a soccer coach coaching a team of boys from Boulder City in a Henderson team had to pay the city X amount of money. I don't really know the monetary value, but he had to pay the city so they could turn on the lights for them to practice with the lights on and not in the darkness. It's sad for me that we're so willing to spend so much money on a dog park but had never even given a thought about our soccer fields. I'm not talking about even a big soccer field. Just provide some goals for our kids so they don't have to go all the way to Henderson. It's not only my kids. There's a full team of boys, even more boys. By the way, they made state. I'm correct. Let me correct myself in that. They made it to the state finals. They made it to, they joined the middle school and they ended up being really good, thanks to this coach that was willing to continue no matter what, even if he had to pay the city to have the lights on for them to practice. Sometimes they were there during dark hours. And again, please don't tell me that don't think I'm being rude. It's just, I was writing things as I was thinking. The city is so willing to spend so much money in a dog park, but very slow to better the things that our children must use, like our public pool, the replacement of the baseball ring at Oasis Park, that is gone. Goals for our soccer fields. I'm not asking for much, just soccer goals. Just to name a few. Have any of you noticed the dog people group that sits at Pratt's, the soccer fields, Veterans Park, pretty much every evening with all their dogs off leash? They've taken over the park. They've gone as far as taking their dogs off leash to our local splash pad, even though there are signs everywhere saying no dogs allowed. I have video of them many times. The leash law has to change to no dogs allowed off leash anywhere in the city. Without a change in the law, a dog park is completely pointless, in my opinion. Save the money for our children. Again, I am a dog owner and I love my dog. He's always on a leash. But children, to me, come first. That's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Again, the public can call in at 702-589-9629. 702-589-9629. That number is on your screen now. One last time, open for public comment at this time. And the public can call in at 702-589-9629. Okay, hearing no additional requests for public comment, we'll move on to the first agenda item. And that item for possible action is to review the results of the proposed dog park on the .81 acre parcel at Veterans Memorial Park and provide recommendation to the city council. So we're open for we're open for discussion.
Chairman, if I
Miss-
may,
Miss-
I have a few just
Yeah,
opening comments
I
for
was gonna say,
the
Ms. Callaway's
members.
gonna kind of guide us through a discussion, our discussion starter.
Yes,
So, Ms. Callaway.
because you had a full packet, so I'm going to try to summarize what was in there. Good afternoon, Parks and Recreation Commission and Boulder City residents. I'm Julie Callaway, your Parks and Recreation Manager. Today, we are meeting to discuss the potential location for a dog park in Boulder City. As you know, the city has made a few unsuccessful attempts at finding a dog park location for our residents. At their June 13th meeting, City Council voted not to use Veterans Memorial Field Number 3 as a dog park. They directed staff to meet with the Parks and Recreation Commission regarding a dog park site and requested the commission to make a dog park recommendation for City Council's consideration. The goal is to provide a designated fenced area to allow animals to be at large or off leash. in a designated dog park situation. Staff was advised to evaluate existing irrigated turf that could be repurposed for a dog park. The staff report included in the meeting packet goes through the background and how we got here today. Today we'll be discussing the .81 acre parcel at Veterans Memorial Park east of the fishing pond restrooms as a possible dog park location. In preparing for today's meeting, a community survey was created to allow Boulder City residents to provide feedback regarding a potential dog park in Boulder City. A copy of the survey questions and many of the responses were included in today's packet. We learned very quickly that Boulder City residents are very passionate about this subject. Four-legged fur baby residents are well represented in this demographic. We received 446 surveys from June 16th through August 15th, and while the survey input varied on some aspects, many of the respondents agreed on amenities and a location. So today you're tasked with recommending to City Council information regarding the review of the survey results and the proposed .81 acre parcel at Veterans Memorial Park. The .81 acre parcel is close to restrooms. It has adequate parking. It does not negatively impact or youth sports, and it is not close to a residential neighborhood. Hopefully everyone had an opportunity to visit the site. We're providing a map outlining the proposed location at Veterans Memorial Park. This parcel is just east of the fishing pond restrooms. Survey results. To be totally transparent, many of the 425 survey results and comments received through April 8th were included in today's packet. And as you can see, we had a lot of comments on the different questions that we put out for the community. Survey results included over 86% of respondents supporting a new off-leash dog in Boulder City. Much like what many of the residents during public comment had to say, they really are looking for a specific area for residents to be able to have their dogs off-leash. Shade and grass were the #1 requests for a dog park. The overall cleanliness and items pertaining to the maintenance of a dog park were also frequently mentioned. The #1 location for a dog park, with 69% of respondents agreeing that overall Veterans Memorial Park was the best location. ABC and Oasis Parks were the second most requested. Regarding the .81 acre parcel at Veterans Memorial Park, several respondents were concerned with the slope or elevation change of the proposed location. Some comments included, the site should be flat. The area is not large enough. The area is extremely hilly. It is a potential walking hazard for dog owners. It should be ground level. There could be a problem for elderly dog owners. Another heavily repeated survey comment from the residents was, why is the city not working with the existing dog park and making improvements at the Sea Spot Run Park? Some of those comments included, fix the existing dog park first. It seems like money could be better spent enhancing the existing dog park. There's already a great dog park in town. Put the money into the existing dog park. Support the nonprofit. Upgrade Sea Spot Run. Listening to these community comments, city staff, including the city manager, proactively organized a meeting with the board members of the local nonprofit Sea Spot Run to see if there might be interest in working together and creating a partnership. The discussion centered around the possibility of collaborating dog park efforts and utilizing the approved $72,000 dog park funds at the existing Sea Spot Run dog park. As community members mentioned time and time again in the online survey, The Sea Spot Run Dog Park already has the fencing and space necessary for a successful dog park. However, it could just use improvements like grass and shade. City staff mentioned the possibility of contributing the approved funds for improvements like shade and grass to the existing Sea Spot Run Dog Park at Veterans Memorial Park. After some discussion, Sea Spot Run expressed approval of the idea of a possible partnership with the city. If that is the direction that would be best for the Boulder City community, it is something that Sea Spot Run would be interested in. We would now like to open it up for discussion from the members.
Anyone want to go?
Yeah, I have a comment on the Veterans Park area. So when we put the fences in, the sprinklers are probably gonna have to be relocated and redone because the fence will be in the way of the sprinklers. So there's some added expense into beyond the fences. The other thing that I'm concerned with is with all the grass, you're probably gonna see a lot of urine burning. It's gonna be pretty difficult to maintain. So it may look green right now, but it probably won't after a while. I kinda like the idea of improving the Sea Spot Run. There's a lot more space there. It could be a combination of sand, gravel, and grass. I mean, there's some things you could do there because, and I also like the Veterans more if I had to do it, but that would be my second choice.
Okay, thank you. I got a question on that fencing on the 8.81 acres. Is it, that's kind of an odd shaped area, so would it be more of a larger rectangle to include some of that tree area, or how does that get fenced?
So far, those specifications have not been exactly identified as far as how it would, but it would, what they're hoping to do is design a two-section, so one section for larger dogs, one section for smaller dogs, and yes, I believe the design of it then would be two longer rectangular spaces.
Okay, and then on the potential for a collaboration with Sea Spot Run, has there been some consideration on the water conservation and the limiting of turf in the city?
Yes, when in meeting with Sea Spot Run, one of their recommendations or things that they wanted the city to consider was to perhaps put in artificial turf. There have been some dog parks throughout the United States, and some of them that are even in the Southwest specifically, that we're reaching out to get some more information about how best to maintain that, what exactly that would look like. We've also reached out to the National Parks and Recreation Association, which we belong to with Boulder City Parks and Recreation, just to find out what other recommendations are for artificial turf, keeping in mind the water conservation goals.
And I'm sure that it would come up also that there's a heat issue with artificial turf, and hopefully there's some cooling method that is out there.
So basically, you would still need an irrigation system, which you would still have to, you just would be using much, much less water than you would be if it was real turf. The artificial turf would be for cleaning purposes and also for temperature control, like you said. But really, we would be looking to put shade in it.
Thank you. And I want to address some of the public comments. Several of you said something about leash law, and while I don't disagree with you, that's really not the discussion we're having tonight at this on this single agenda item. But again, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Anyone else?
I'd be on board for you guys to partner with Sea Spot Run before proposing another location. And I think it should stay at Vets.
The only thought I had as I was going through this and reading through it, my husband happens to work for Parks for City of Henderson, and he says that their dog parks, they'll have a 3-dog area for small dogs, all dogs, large dogs, and at any given time, one of those is closed, making so that the grass can heal and come back from urine stains and dogs digging in it and things like that. And they'll open one up and close another one. And so the artificial turf sounds like a really interesting idea if we can get the best information out there on that. But I just want to make sure that we have taken into consideration the maintenance that's going to go into this at this time.
That's a great question. And I think that is another reason why the nonprofit Sea Spot Run was leaning a little bit more towards artificial turf, of course, with water conservation in mind, but also maintenance of it. It would not need to be mowed every week like normal turf would. There would be other maintenance, that would be required of that. And so there still is some more investigating that would need to be done before we move forward with that, but it certainly seems like it might be a viable option.
We have a representative of Sea Spot Run here, is that correct?
Yes,
would
we
you be
do.
willing to engage us in conversation a little bit? Yes. State your name for me, please.
My name is Sandra Frazier, and I've been a resident of 50 years in Boulder City. What we had presented to the Park and Recreation, we've always not really wanted to plant grass because it is a huge area. It's about a football size. So we've always tried to find another type of turf. And at one point I talked to a gentleman in Arizona who had artificial turf in his park. And so I got to thinking about it, and yes, there was the question of the smell and so on. But I've had a lot of people doing research on a charcoal. It's a coconut charcoal that is put into the underneath, and they build it deeper so that there's a lot more drainage for it. But what I'd like to do is put permanent shade structures so that we can have solar lighting and that we can extend the hours of the park because of our summer is so hot. That way the AstroTurf wouldn't be hot all day long. And then they would be in the shade, and there would be places for dogs to throw. And then on the backside, we would like to put another section. We right now have 3 sections, one for the small dogs, one for all dogs, and then a toy area. We tried to took the toys out of the other areas because of fights and things. Excuse me, I'm very nervous.
No reason to be.
I know there's not. I'm just very passionate about the dog park and been with them for about 8 years now. But we were always thinking of things with the maintenance lower. So with mowing of the grass, having the equipment to mow the grass, and then the water conservation. So that's why we were headed more directed towards the AstroTurf, making it a little deeper, having permanent shade, having it that it's easily cleaned off. That whole area is a blank slate. It has no irrigation. We do have some water control drainage problem that we need to deal with because the entire park drains right into the dog park and goes out underneath a pipe and over. So that's something that needs to be addressed at first as well. But it would be lovely to have solar so that they could be out there till 10 o'clock when the park is open. And then in the winter, they could be out there early in the morning. Now, the whole park would not be lit up. The walking path is our main attraction. 5 times around is a mile, and so we've gotten a lot of people to walking with their dogs, active with their dogs, versus just sitting in a park. We, in that area, we would like benches and shade structures and things like that too, but our goal is to keep dogs and people moving and keep us all active. So those are some of the things that we'd like to see. We also would like a sidewalk that comes down and then over to the side, a wash dock, because I do listen to the people out there at the park that use it, and a lot of them say the dirt and things. So I thought, well, let's get a recyclable dog wash, coin operated, make a little bit of money from that, and they'd be able to walk out of the park on a sidewalk. So those are some of the things that we've got the park divided into 4 or 5 different phases of what we'd like to have done out there.
And I assume that you've had some discussions with the Parks and Rec Department, and what are your thoughts on partnering with?
Absolutely, always. That's been the goal of Sea Spot Run from 18 years ago, was that we needed a place, and Margaret Kohler had a dog that ran. She's the original founder of Sea Spot Run, and she needed a place, and they said, okay, raise the funds, and we'll build it. She raised the funds, and she built it. So that's the goal that we've been going forward with.
To partner with the city was your...
Well, no, if eventually, yes, to partner with the city. At some point, for a long time, the city's not wanted to be involved with Sea Spot Run. And it's just recently that now the city is getting more and more involved with the Sea Spot Run.
But you'd be
Oh, absolutely.
happy with that? And
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're about the community and creating an amenity for the people of the city. So,
Okay. Thank you. And does
any
anybody
other
else have any
questions?
questions for Ms. Frazier? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I may, apparently we have had public that had tried to call in, and during our beautiful renovation in progress in this council chambers, the phones are not working. So if anybody has public comment, please submit it via the website, public comment forms, the contact forms for the city council comment form number 111. And city clerk's office will send over your email as soon as it is received. And we apologize for the inconvenience and technical difficulties.
Thank you.
So going back to why we are here, today you are tasked with making a recommendation to City Council regarding reviewing the survey results and the proposed .81 acre parcel at Veterans Memorial Park. So we're looking to see if somebody might want to, or if we need more discussion, or you have more questions, or if you're ready to perhaps make a motion.
I think before we make a motion, I want to give everybody an opportunity to comment on the, I guess we got sort of two ideas floating about, but that'll kind of give us some time too to maybe receive some comments from the city clerk's office. So I guess the any one of us, and Mike, hopefully you can hear us okay as well, have any tend to lean one way or the other with these kind of two locations in Veterans Memorial Park, either the .81 acres, or the Sea Spot Run, or none of those really are viable candidates in your minds? Member Pontius, did you have something? Oh, okay. I guess for me, I think I tend to like the idea of using the existing dog park that we have. I know there has been a lot of discussion at previous council meetings, at previous commission meetings, and certainly in the comments from the survey about using the existing dog park and partnering with Sea Spot Run. I like that idea that it's pre-existing. I like the idea that that's flat ground, and I like the idea that it's easily accessible to the parking lot. That area that we're talking about on the map, the .81 acres, it is definitely on sort of a hillside. There is a flat spot at the top of that little kind of finger that sticks out to the west. I'm sorry, to the east. That's relatively flat, although it's not as flat as a Sea Spot Run by any stretch. And it's not as accessible, I think, as the Sea Spot Run spot would be, our location would be. So those are kind of my thoughts on where we are.
Hello, Scott.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you on the enhancements on Sea C-Spot Run. It's just that some of the items discussed in there seem like they're gonna far exceed the $72,000, especially when you're dealing with AstroTurf or synthetic turf at probably $4 or $5 a square foot. So I'm kind of torn between how practical that would be and how much money would really be involved, and if the city could get behind that.
Okay, thanks. Do we, I know C-Spot Run has recently received a grant from the city. Correct. And do you anticipate how you expect to spend that now, or is that?
That would move forward with what your decision. That would depend on if we did get your portion, and we have also raised 30,000 ourselves, so that would give us $150,000 to start working with.
You've already done some research.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I've been doing research for 8 years.
So the things like we talked about earlier,
Right.
are they viable in the dollar amounts that we're talking about that existing?
Mm-hmm. It would be a good start for us. Yes. Yes.
And Ms. Callaway, the money allotted was that dollar figure's been floating around for a while, and I think that was originally fencing material and some infrastructure items for other locations. Is that right?
That is correct. It was for fencing, the initial setup, and amenities.
So some of that stuff is already existing that we wouldn't have to do it.
Right.
C-Spot Run.
When C-Spot Run was put in, the fencing alone, 12 years ago, was $70,000 to put the fencing in. So with the prices going up now, I don't know if you could fence in that area for $70,000.
Okay.
So that's my opinion and my thought, because that's what it cost C-Spot Run, and she got a lot of people to do the work for her and pro bono and things like that. So, and that is our goal as well, is to ask for those things as well from different people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you talked to any contractors about installing the synthetic turf for
Yes.
the dogs? How many square feet can
That
you?
hasn't been determined because I haven't made a definite decision on how we're gonna split the park, but it's huge. The entire area that we have is 380 by 174 to do. What I had thought of is doing like a center section and then being able to drive a vehicle around for maintenance. Because we do have a double gate that goes into the one area and then goes into the other area. And occasionally we need to go into the other area to fix water leaks and things of that nature. So it wouldn't be solid AstroTurf. It would have a curbing around it, and it would have something to drive around it. And then in the other area, we'd have the AstroTurf and another shade structure, and then the agility toys around the outside of that.
So that would be in the
Event
track, in the track area or in the toy area?
In the toy area.
Toy area,
Yeah,
okay.
in the event, big, large dog park, nothing more will be done in there unless we get another scout project and they want to put some more shade structures up in there. But the way product is right now.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess the only other comment I have is the one thing that we wouldn't be able to have is the toilets. Because we have the toilets at Veterans Park, we would not have them at C-Spot Run unless you went all the way over by the volleyball courts.
Is there a recommended distance that bathroom facilities would need to be from various recreational facilities, or is that?
I don't think there's a specific standard, if that's what you're asking, in relation to a dog park.
Okay.
And Chairman, if it's okay, we do have public comment that we have received, if it's okay if,
I think we should go ahead and then.
very good. Yes, please. Okay, verbatim.
Okay, we've received a public comment. We've received public comment from Fred Volz. States, a majority of Boulder City's human residents live in condominiums and apartments, manufactured homes, and small homes with small yards. Dog owners need a place they can safely go to recreate their dogs off leash without negatively impacting others. Let's acknowledge the city has wisely decided it will plant no new grass in the spirit of trying to decrease our water consumption amidst severe drought conditions. While 425 people chose to respond to the online survey, its results are not necessarily definitive given the responses to some questions, but a solid majority, over 68%, support a new off-leash fenced dog park. Maintenance, grass, and shade were important to well over half of the respondents. The existing dog park is used on a regular basis, contrary to what some suggested on their survey responses. For those concerned about the dirt, dust, snake, and rock factors, many dogs won't be taken to existing dog park. It is these preferences this community should build on in making a recommendation to City Council. The city needs to step up and not only assume all financial and maintenance responsibilities for the existing fenced dog park at Veterans Memorial Park, but also for a new dog park more centrally located to most of the BC's human population. If public funds are given to lend a hand, Boulder City Senior Center, and emergency aid to provide essential services, then public funds deserve to be allocated for the needs of our city's canine residents. Some of the mean-spirited comments directed toward our city's canine population and its legitimate needs in the survey responses were deeply troubling for the city that prides itself on its community spirit. As for city liability, any competent attorney would suggest posting a sign at the entrances to such a park indicating assumption of the risk by those dog owners who choose to use the park. In other words, city residents would not collectively bear legal liability if something goes wrong between dogs or their owners, or when they are off leash inside the confines of a fenced dog park. The proposed 0.81 acre carve-out in Veterans Memorial Park does not offer adequate shade and is perilous for anyone unsure of their feet because of the hilly conditions. There are no viable locations on the lake side of town to convert the few existing park spaces into dog parks, since Hemingway hosts bighorn sheep on a regular basis and grass along the flood control channels is steep. The middle and southern portions of Oasis Park, with parking on Sandra Drive, could suffice as an alternative. However, we have two other better options. The northern portion of ABC Park could be fenced off as ample grass and large shade trees with easy parking. North Escalante and South Escalante Parks, to the west of the City Hall and police headquarters respectively, would be ideal central sites for much of the city's human population to easily access, including tourists. Both the north and south parks have considerable shade and lush grass, as well as readily adjacent parking. Bottom line, our city's dogs and their parents need a fenced park with grass and shade for their health, safety, and welfare. We'll have the other underutilized recreational amenities in Boulder City. We can well afford to spend a relatively small amount to improve the lives of our canine residents.
Thank you.
Is that the only one we have at the moment?
That's the only one.
Okay, no, the phone lines are not available at all today.
Correct. Phone lines are not available, so the next public comment at the end of the meeting, please go ahead and go to bcnv.org for public comment via email.
Thank you. Does the commission have any further discussion?
I just have a comment. My main concern over the proposed 0.81 acres was the how hilly it was, and for some of our senior members, for me, I couldn't do that, and so that is a concern, and so I am leaning towards using the facility that C-Spot Run has put forth.
If there's no other discussion or comments by the commission, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend to the city council to consider partnering with C-Spot Run to upgrade and utilize that C-Spot Run location as a dog park.
I second that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Ms. Callaway, I do have that verbiage written here, if that helps you out any.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is our second public comment. This public comment is open to any topic, doesn't have to be something on the agenda. And members of the public do have 5 minutes time limit in which to speak. And also, if the public would like to make comment and are not present, again, you may do so via the Boulder City website. The phone lines are down today, so that is not an option. Anyone in the present in the building would like to make comment? Mr. Harkin.
Good evening. Vernon Harkins. I live in Broadmoor Court. My understanding that the .81 acres was also scheduled to be removed of the grass if this was not to be passed. I had heard a rumor of that. If that's the case, I'm not sure what the SNWA rules are, but can that grass be moved to C-Spot Run and either be half and half artificial turf, half grass? I know that the school district went to artificial grass on a lot of their playing fields, and it was mentioned how hot that artificial grass can get to the point where they can't really play a game unless it's watered down, which sounds kind of counter, you know. And artificial grass, you know, deteriorates over time also, so there's also a maintenance idea. Like was previously referenced, you do have to put a base down. There's money there. But I thought maybe as an alternative, there's talk of removing grass, peel it up, move it over. I'm not sure what the credits would be or not credits.
Yeah, Ms. Callaway is not supposed to engage in conversation with you right
Okay.
now, so you and I can. My understanding, my understanding is that parks are generally exempt from that turf restriction, although I think the city is looking at a number of park turf removals
Right,
anyway.
right.
I believe in the conversations I had that area was originally slated for removal.
Correct. And so my thought would be is to save a little bit of money. When it's removed, it's typically peeled off. Is one option. It's peeled off and it's used elsewhere.
Right.
The other option is just tilled up and then throw plastic on it, throw a rock on it, call it a day. But if it could be peeled off in such a manner and then reused at the current dog park, what the price would be on that. The final statement would be is maybe talk to CCSD to find out what the maintenance is on synthetic turf and what it costs for them to put in the field, because they just put in the field in the Boulder City High School, what it costs there. That way you have the same conditions, heat conditions, cooling conditions, not with Arizona. Arizona sometimes gets hot, but not as hot as it does here. So that's just a couple ideas.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Hargan. Mr. Shane?
Judy DeShane. I would be in favor of the C-Spot one, or at least coordinate with them and see what we can do, the city and the nonprofit. Those people at C-Spot Run work very hard, and I'm sure they would continue to be a good partner with the city as far as helping to maintain and upgrade when needed. The other thing is, people are talking about the dirt and their dogs getting really dirty. I don't know precisely what it costs or whatever, but it's my dad always referred to it as quarter minus. It's a desert landscape. It packs down, but yet it's soft enough on, for a dog's park or paws, even if you have, particularly if you have a shade structure that they were talking about. So your dog, it doesn't raise the dust. The dog would not get filthy dusty or anything like that. But maybe thinking about that for part of the dog park, because even whether it's artificial turf or if it's real grass, if you've ever had kids, you know your grass, if you have kids that play in the yard and really play, the grass does not stay really nice for very long. So, and you would have the same thing with dogs. So maybe exploring putting part of it, you know, into a dirt, especially, or not dirt, but that quarter minus. So it's it gets to be kind of a hard surface without being, but not concrete or blacktop, but it works pretty good. So it's another suggestion, but I do like the C-Spot run, you know, to explore that to the point to see whether or not it would definitely be viable for us. It sounds like a good idea.
Thank you. Anyone present have a, excuse me, anyone present have a additional public comment? Ms. Hess? Yes.
So and I apologize because I think my comment was supposed to be right now. But I wanted to ask, can I ask a question? Or why would Oasis Park be a good, I mean, why was it even in the survey as a possible dog park?
Well, I
don't-
can't answer that directly,
so
except that I believe that most of the parks in Boulder City were on the list.
Yes,
To, you know, as just,
Okay.
it's a survey question.
gotcha. Yeah, just for me, it didn't make any sense, you know, when really, because I live right there. I see how many people actually use the park, kids play. I mean, it's a park that everybody uses, and I mean, everybody uses. I wanted to comment really fast again. I'm not expecting an answer, but again, with the soccer goals, if I could, I would love the city to provide, not, you know, the field. I'm not going to ask for the field anymore. Let's just provide our kids some goals, some soccer goals. I think it would be nothing close to $72,000 to provide our children with some soccer goals. So I would love that for our children here in the community, because it's not just my children, it's so many children that will enjoy that, and actually adults too. Other thing I wanted to point out, there was a baseball backstop at the Oasis Park. It was replaced by a tree that died, and now we don't have anything there. I know several people, because I have cameras everywhere in my house. They go there and try to practice baseball and soccer and everything, and we don't have that backstop anymore. I don't know. I just think about our community, our children, and I know they will use it. I wanted to say something else, but I left my mind. But no, thank you so much for everything you do. Again, I'm very passionate about soccer, so it's one of the things that I actually, probably this is the second time that I've been here, suggesting, not asking, but suggesting that it will be lovely if we can have some soccer goals, just to go and shoot goals. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And do we have any additional public comment from the city clerk's office? No, we don't. Yes, sir.
Guess while everybody's making a comment, if I don't mind making one more, what's your name one more time? Judy. She mentioned about the 1/4 inch, and I asked her about that. It's 1/4 inch gravel, which I think would be a great idea. Over time, even if it's not a washed gravel, we do trucking, not here, but in Utah, and I've been around aggregate material for as long as I can remember. But I think that would be a great solution as far as drainage and being not so dusty, because as that moisture hits that material, whether it's rain or a sprinkler or whatever, that whatever they call it fines, you're gonna get some type of fines on that material when it's processed and it's crushed up. But that'll end up at the bottom of that, so when those dogs are rolling around and digging, they hopefully won't dig to the bottom of that and won't get as dirty by just being dirt out there. So I think that is a great suggestion. And I would assume that when they do any sort of, even if they put in sod, I was just looking, the cost of that is about $1.50 square foot just to install it. So I'm sure it's the same for sod, but they're gonna have to lay down some sort of base when they do that. And it seems like maybe when they were considering that, if they could consider gravel in that, when they were doing that, that might be a good idea.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When the park was built, Margaret put in compressed DG. There is a 6-inch base of compressed DG, which is very similar to what he spoke of, and that's been the problem. Once it started getting broken up, our path, in the walking path, it took 2 years because of the traffic breaking it up, because it almost acts like concrete. And that's been the biggest complaint, is that dogs go over there and throw ball, and the dirt scratches and tears their feet up. So that's why I think we need a surface. But if we put grass in, we have the expense of bringing in dirt, because it's concrete, what the grass would be growing. Now, I know the Park Service recommended possibly using Bermuda grass. We had thought about Bermuda grass when I first started with the park, and asked the people that use the park, what would you think about Bermuda? Because it does die 6 months out of the year, and they didn't like it. They preferred the dirt over the Bermuda grass. So that dilemma, then I started thinking of different products, different barks that maybe could go down, things of that nature. I did find a really great bark that I'd like to use as well that repels. It's a synthetic bark. It's not a bark that brings in cockroaches and things like that, like you see in the tree planters and things. But it repels the urine and the manure, and it's easily cleaned up around. It was in a KOA camp up in Seattle area. But with the compressed DG, and we have no water system out there in that area. Now, there's trees that have water. Park Service donated 160 trees to us. And in the large area, we take care of those. But we have no water, so water has to be brought in, piping and so on and so forth, to water grass. And then we need a transformer if we're gonna have that larger sprinklers. My trees are watered right now on battery-operated timers. So we've tried to keep our costs down as about the best we could. I did get a bid, and it took me about 5 years to get grass in the small dog area, and it was $64,000 to put grass, and it's like a 150 by 100 area. It's a good size, but we also wanted some concrete work done in there to keep the water off of the shade structure that's in there. So we wanted to put a concrete slab underneath that. So those are just some of the things that we've already been trying to do, but that area is a compressed DG. So anything that would have to be done have to be brought in.
Okay.
So that's why we were leaning more towards something that didn't have, because in the end, yes, it might be a few dollars more, but the maintenance level of it would be totally different than having grass and trying to keep it alive. And like she said, the parks in Henderson have to separate and let it rejuvenate and so on and so forth. So that's why we were leaning for another direction with the permanent shade structure, keeping it cooler.
Sure. Thanks.
So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any additional public comment? And any from the city clerk's office?
Nothing from City Clerk's office.
Okay, hearing no additional desire for public comment, we'll adjourn this meeting.